Welcome to the Dude Show podcast, starring Patrick and Chris, with updates from our sexy bosom-blessed newsgirl and commentary from producer Lewis. Clothing is optional for this broadcast, so grab yourself a whatever, sit back, and prepare to eat pie like you're on death row, you son of a bitch. And without further ado, let's fire this motherfucker up!
All right, hey, look, we got someone in the studio. Please welcome.
We do.
Steve Full. How you doing there, Steve Full?
Was it? Are we still doing that?
Evidently.
Bringing it back.
We are. Now, Steve, you and I, we've known each other for quite some time. You and that lovely wife of yours.
Thank you. Do the best I can with what I'm given.
Yes. So, Steve, you're not plugging anything. You're just coming in here to hang out with some friends and
Not plugging anything at the moment, Pat, but who knows what the rest of the evening has in store. We have a studio audience here, maybe. Welcome. Thanks for coming.
Now, Steve, I was thinking about when you were coming over, because we've hung out so many times. I was like, you know, I've known Steve for about 10 years. I actually don't know much about you before meeting you. Where do you hail from, Steve?
Oh, man. Wow. I'm from St. Charles, Illinois. It's a suburb of Chicago, about 30 miles west, just before the cornfields. And I spent a good amount of time in Chicago doing theater, carousing. Up to no good, and then I moved to L.A., and that's pretty much when I met you.
Right.
Via Annie Wershing, my wife.
Now, when I met you, by the way, I have to say this. You're one of the more successful stories in L.A. of all the people that I met out here.
Sorry to hear that, Pat.
An actual work.
It's no offense to anyone at this table, by the way. You're all good people as far as I'm concerned. That's nice of you to say, Pat. Every now and then you feel successful, and then it all goes to hell, and then you're sitting in a garage with a microphone stacked on some books, and you realize what has happened.
The working actor. Steve, let me ask you this. Obviously, if you don't know Steve, he's a working actor. In LA, that's very difficult. I mean, when I looked at his IMDb page, it's like things that I didn't even know. Criminal Minds, Cold Case, Bones, every show that's on TV these days, and plus 2 series. Steve, when, as an actor, what was the point where you actually said, I don't have to fucking be a waiter anymore? Like, was there a job when you came out here? Like, when you an audition, a job that you said, I never have to go back to that other life?
Oh, I would say that happened a few times. Well, you know, I booked some commercials for McDonald's. I don't know if you remember. This was back in the, what?
The salad days.
It was the early aughts. I remember we were at the one of those taverns, and it came on.
Yeah, we were at the Rustic.
The Rustic.
They came on. I was a big hit at the Rustic. A bunch of drunks cheering for me at 2 in the morning, watching Sports Center, and my commercial came on, and you think you made it because that's all happening. And it was like 4 spots, as far as I knew. That was it. I wasn't going to have to work a real job anymore. That's ridiculous. And you go back to work is what you do. And then eventually, you know, once you're in a series, I was in a series called I'm in the Band on Disney Channel. What's up?
Yep. Yeah. We watched it.
I know. You and the other
we weren't
17
in the demographic.
people. No, but so yeah, you get a job like that. You're like, oh, I think this is it. I think this is it. But then as soon as that job ends, you don't know what's next necessarily. You have a little nest egg, let's call it, for a second.
Well, let me ask you this: do you still have to go on auditions, like, or is
God.
that now? But you did 3 years on a series, so when they hire you, they know they're getting the Steve Full.
Yeah, you always have to audition. I don't care. Well, not always. I mean, there's the top 1%, 0.01% maybe, that doesn't have to show up to room. I mean, I've heard that Bradley Cooper still sends tapes of himself to try to get jobs that he doesn't get. Right. I mean, everyone's kind of clawing at it. I don't think you ever arrive until, you know, you just have stupid amounts of money and you can't think of, like, any way to spend it in your lifetime, and that's not really a reality for most actors.
Well, all right, I got a question for you. So you've been on a lot of auditions. What's the most famous person you've seen in the audition room waiting to go in there with you?
I don't.
And did you think that's sad?
Good question.
He was on Alf.
I haven't run into a lot. Who was the guy? And this is I guess he's not that famous, but who's the guy that was in Malibu's Most Wanted. What's
Jamie Kennedy.
Jamie Kennedy. I was going to audition for an episode of True Romance, the second season, the bad season. No, True Detective.
Right. I was going to say they made a show about that.
Yeah, they should. I mean,
you're a cantaloupe.
Somebody just made that deal in Hollywood.
Yeah. Yes. Don't have Patricia Arquette do that at this stage in her career. But so yeah, I was waiting to go in for literally a guy who's mouthing the words to a tune that lasts about a minute and a half. Mm-hmm. And it was a Conway Twitty song, and you had to go in and mouth the song for a minute and a half. And the person in front of me was Jamie Kennedy.
Wow.
I was like, oh no, Jamie.
Now this is post Jamie Kennedy Experiment.
This was like a year and a half ago.
You know what?
You hit the skids, and then I read on Deadline the next week he's got a series. I'm like, are you just experimenting, like showing up at auditions like that? Because I was kind of like on the border of whether I should show up for that audition. But then I realized I don't have anything else to do today. I should probably go to this.
You know what I love about the Jamie Kennedy Experiment? The early years of that, before they knew who he was, like it was one of those caught on camera films, like they fuck with you. And then at the end, Jamie Kennedy would be like, "You just been bumped by the Jamie Kennedy Experiment," and then like the poor Latin woman behind like the pizza stand would be like, "I have no idea what's going on right now."
¿Cómo se dice? Who is that? Like just blank stare.
Who's a Jamie Kennedy?
Steve, I don't want you to get in trouble.
Okay.
I don't want you to talk shit.
Okay.
But if you would, I have 5 questions.
Let's do it.
And if you can decline to answer them, but these are the things I want to know when my friends are, acting. I want to know about the business. What are you going to say, Lou?
Shit just got real.
Yeah. All right, Steve.
Light it up.
Who is the nicest person, actor or actress, that you've ever worked with?
Nicest actor or actress I've ever worked with. You know what? Is his name David Boreanaz?
Yeah, on Bones.
I'm going to say this because he gets a bad rap for whatever reason. I hope he's not listening.
Don't worry, he's not.
Hope he's not one of the
no
three.
Chance.
So he's got a bad rap. He's a lot of people say he's a pain in the ass to work with. And I had a scene in Bones where I was a waiter. I literally showed up and said, "Hey, table 6 is pissed about the chicken or whatever." And I know enough to get in, say my shit, and get out of there, because the last thing they want is like, a guy who's got like 2 lines in the episode, like fucking up the day.
Right.
And so I come in, I say my thing, and I get out of there. Very little fanfare. Director doesn't come up and go, "Wow, you really killed it. You really brought it home. I really felt the table of people pissed about the chicken." But David Boreanaz came up to me and he said, "You know what? I really like what you do." And I'm like, "You fucking with me? Or are you hitting on me?" And he said, "No, it's a hard thing to come in and do something very subtly and trust it. And you came in and you did that. You did your job, and then you left, and that's rare." And he said, "I appreciate you." And I said, "Wow. That's incredible, because I hear you're just a douche." And this is a good moment for both of us.
Yes. All right, by the way, I used to get compared to David Boreanaz. Like when I go out,
You're a
they go,
handsome
"Hey,
man, Pat."
I look like him a little bit in my younger years. Now he's been hitting that sauce a little too much. I don't want to get in trouble there. All right, next question. Who's the biggest dick you've ever worked with? And feel free to decline this, but you can say a name, like, for example, if it was, I don't know, Tom Cruise, then you could say Flom Flues, and then we'd know.
Okay. I'm going to slyly answer this question as I did the last one. I worked with James Caan on an episode of Las Vegas.
Yep.
And I was terrified, and the crew positively hated this person. They just...
Not James Caan, the other person.
They hated James Caan.
Oh, they did? Okay.
Oh, wow.
They did not appreciate the James Caan-ish of James Caan. And so I was terrified. I was playing a drunk at a bar, and I had probably 6, 7 lines, which is not a lot. I probably had 3 days to learn them. I learned them solidly, and I got on set, and I couldn't remember any of them. Wow. And I literally tipped his script down with my finger. "Mr. Caan, can I get a look at that?" Because he's on his pages, and I would like a piece of the pages if you would, because I'm struggling here. And so I look at them, and he was very nice to me, and he was nothing but pleasant the whole time. Then I had another scene I came back to shoot with him. He was awesome, but the biggest asshole that I worked with would probably be him, just based on everyone else's perception that he worked with, but he was very nice to me. I think he liked, I don't know, dark, swarthy types. I don't know what he liked.
Yeah, he might have.
But he and David Boreanaz kind of a similar theme. They were. I got to recheck this. I don't know. If,
You know, similar story to yours. One time I worked in a studio as a food runner.
Yeah.
I used to go get cheeseburgers for rappers.
Yeah.
And it was Snoop Dogg. And I'm in there, and I don't know, he thought he was warming up to me. He goes, he's smoking a joint over in the corner near the vending machine. And he goes, hey, you want some of this? I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
But at the time, I didn't smoke weed.
wow.
And
You didn't start that day?
Shut up, damn it. And so
That's like not taking communion from the Pope.
Yeah, pretty much.
What's wrong with you?
How old were you?
I was 22 or something. I
my
just moved out here. I didn't want
bright-eyed.
to lose my job, so I turned him down. But I was, Then the next time he came in, I walk up, I go, "What's up, Snoop?" And he looked at me like, "I don't know you, you dumb fool." And I was hurt by that. Anyway, next question. Sorry.
All right.
Biggest role you were ever up for? Like you went on an audition or you read, like you got real close, and it ended up being kind of bigger than maybe you thought, or was we know of it.
Yeah, bigger than me. Well, this is recent. I was supposed to audition for Marlon Wayans' new sitcom on NBC. It's kind of a big deal.
The show's sold already?
It's probably gonna run like 2 episodes. Yeah, they're casting it now. So I learned lines for the better part of a week, and it's the best friend. It's the guy who's gonna steal it. If there's gonna be an Emmy nominee in this television show, it's gonna be like a supporting cat like this part. And it was in my wheelhouse. It was a lazy asshole, just super opinionated, arrogant fuck. And I learned it, and I threw some improv tidbits. I had it ready to go, and I pictured what the room's gonna look like and who might be there, and all that was happening. And then my agent called me, and she was very quiet. She's a quiet talker. My new manager. She said, "Steven, can you give me a call back?" I was like, I better call Lauren. I hope her family's okay. I don't know what's going on here.
Or she wanted to blow you.
I don't think so. I don't think that was it. Wait a minute. Her, David Boreanaz, and James Gunn. My radar's all over the map. So anyway, I got a call, and she says, I gotta tell you something. They're going another way with the part. I'm like, I haven't even gotten to read for this thing yet. And she said, yeah, was it based on my reel? They didn't respond to my reel. And she's like, no, I don't think it had anything to do with acting. And they changed the part to an African-American role.
Oh, another racist move.
I already had my Emmy speech written, and I didn't even get to go to the room. And I'm sad about it. But who knows what it'll be? But that's just something recent that comes to my mind. I was up for a pilot last year for the lead-in, and I didn't get that. That was on CBS. But those are big moments. You ask, like, when is there a moment where you're like, okay, I don't have to think about money anymore? I have 2 kids and a wife and a mortgage now, so that that's forever.
Absolutely,
you've got responsibilities, but you get a lead in a series. Chances are pretty solid that's going to lead to something else, and then something else, and you're on a much bigger stage.
And
at
some
that
dough.
point. And some.
Speaking of your marriage and your kids,
Yeah.
my next question leads me to: ever hook up with a famous person?
I hooked up with Annie Wershing once. Well, twice total, but I have kids to show for that.
I know.
Yeah, that's as famous as they get, as far as I'm concerned.
Last question: if you weren't acting, what? Oh, I got to do it. What's that guy that does the inside actor?
James Lipton.
James Lipton.
If you
He's got his stack of blue cards that have
you
nothing written on
weren't
them.
acting,
Yep.
what would you be doing?
What would I be doing? If you want an honest answer, I would probably be a sports broadcaster. When I was a young boy, in my knickers, chasing the ice cream truck, I would.
Were you a Baldy boy?
I would sit and I would watch Chicago Cubs games on the TV in my parents' room, and I would turn the sound down and I would announce the games. And there was a week, actually, this was a football game, I think. Maybe McRitchie will remember this, or Chris, as we call you on the show.
Yes.
There was a game where they weren't going to have announcers. They were just going to have the crowd noise. And this was like revolutionary. Everyone was complaining about announcers, like saying too much. So they're like, okay, fine. We're going to just have the crowd noise. And this was everything for me. The clouds opened up. The sun was shining because I could not only announce, but there would be crowd noise in the back as if I was there announcing the game. I mean, it was everything. I announced about 5 minutes of I got super bored. I think I went outside and played wiffle ball. But it doesn't matter. There was a kid's dream in there that came true for a couple seconds.
Well, there you go. I feel like I know more about Steve Full now.
Well, speaking of dreams coming true, I heard you just went to the Super Bowl. Like, what was that like?
Oh, I saw those. Hold on. I saw those. By the way, I don't like to be a jealous person, and I don't like to admit this. I saw those photos. I'm like, God damn it. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Get to be on TV and go to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, that was stupid. I mean, let's get. I don't know how much time you have here.
All the time in the world for you.
Let's get me to the Super Bowl. First of all, Annie Wersching, my wife, who I hit that twice, as we've already covered.
Vampire Diaries, Agent Renee on 24.
Yeah, 24. A lot of
Everything else.
She's fantastic. And so she was going to present at an award show. And so she went to Paramount, and I was going to meet her at a McDonald's in Hollywood because she had the car. And so I spent an hour and a half at McDonald's waiting for her, where she came in a fancy Hollywoody gown, and she went into the bathroom and changed, and we headed up north in her Jeep. But you contemplate your life at McDonald's for an hour and a half in Hollywood. Yeah. I don't have cigarettes, and I don't have cash on me, just for any future people that are needy at a McDonald's. So we drove up. The other thing that was kind of surreal and bizarre is that we got to the Motel 6 we were going to stay at.
What?
Simple needs. We're simple
the
people.
The whole city's booked out, right? Am I right?
Yeah. They've really upgraded the Motel 6.
Let's go with that.
Yeah. Okay, so the Motel 6, I don't know if you were following the sports news, but there was a player that was sent home that was on, I think, the Broncos. He was sent home because of some prostitution activity. This activity was at said Motel 6. I'm like, let's mix it up. Let's see what's going on at the Motel 6. And so you think, whatever, it's a Motel 6. We get there, and it's 3, 4 in the morning, and there's a couple freaking out in the lobby. And they're like, the girl's outside crying. The guy is pacing. It turns out that someone came in and said, I lost my key to my room. Can you give me my key? And someone that wasn't those two people got the key and jacked everything in the room, including the Super Bowl tickets. Right away, this takes the whole weekend up a notch. You're like, there's danger involved. You can smell it. The woman was inconsolable. We're sorry about the tickets, but we got to go.
Yeah, with the Super Bowl awaits.
Yeah, the Super Bowl awaits. And so then we got after it. We saw the Super Bowl the next day. It was phenomenal.
You guys had 50 line yard tickets.
No.
Those would look pretty good. Would you guys walk down there?
I already said we were at the Motel 6. We were on like the 5-yard line in like the third deck. But it was sunny. The sun was in my face. A little too sunny, to be honest with you. There was a sun problem. I wasn't happy with it. But
but you're not complaining.
Maybe those halftime.
You know what's crazy about going to the Super Bowl? You don't see everything that people see when they're watching the game, obviously. I couldn't find Beyonce because I'm looking at the stage, and there's one monitor.
Well, she's just a tiny little thing.
She's
Steve.
a little girl.
Yeah, there you go.
She's got heels on a football field, being cute with her Black Panther backup dancers.
I think it just came out that Beyonce's black.
Okay, I didn't say it, but there were two monitors on either side of the field. I was watching one, and then one went to black. And then I couldn't find Beyonce because I was watching the monitor, and I looked on the stage, no Beyonce. I'm like, where's Beyonce? And it turns out they turned down that monitor because you would see it on the camera, and that would be bad TV. But I never expected that she'd be on like the 15-yard line in heels, getting after it. And so everyone was like, "How was the halftime show?" I'm like, I didn't see any of it.
Steve, this is why I never want to go to the Super Bowl because it's so much better
on
TV.
It sounds like a hassle.
Like, it sounds like it's.
I'm
not
actually
fun
mad
at
at the people that set it up, and I'm going to write them a letter.
I feel like I know Steve Full so much better after this. I've known the guy for 10 fucking years. I drank tons of beers with him. Back in the day before him and his wife were so successful, they had this shitty little apartment.
Easy.
Adorable.
Cozy.
Yeah.
I believe that's called. It's called a cottage.
Hey,
shitty adjacent.
Wait, Steve, you mind hanging out?
Yeah, let's hang out.
Alrighty then.
Thank you, Steve.
Next? Thank you, Steve Full. Glad to be friends with you. Whatever you're coming up next, we can't wait to have you back in the studio.